Well, we're about 5 months off for the rise of Skywalker, and we're wondering, what can they do to make us like Star Wars again? And I have the answer. They need a frickin' time machine. Okay, all kidding aside, let's just face it, when you're doing a 9-part series and all the movies connect in one way, and then you have the last part of a trilogy and they are connecting in one way or another, and you go from one movie to a complete opposite movie that really doesn't connect the stories at all, how can they possibly recoup?
You know, what they should have done is exactly what Marvel did. They should have had separate stories that all emerge into a finale.
That's what a trilogy is. That's what all the other stories do.
This is not a trilogy, though.
Yes, it is.
Well, this is several trilogies.
No. You had the 4, 5, 6, then you had 1, 2, 3, then you have 7, 8, 9.
So you're saying several trilogies.
There's 3 trilogies.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about the last trilogy.
Okay.
It's a trilogy.
The problem with the last trilogy, though, is that it's just a copy of the other trilogy, the original trilogy.
So let's take a couple minutes and say what's wrong now. What's wrong? What's broken?
The stories don't connect to each other. When we left The Force Awakens, they had just destroyed the planet, the Death Killer planet. There were huge spaceship battles. There were tons of spaceships and everything. And then we go to the very next scene. In the time it takes Rey to get to Luke Skywalker, which is, what, maybe a week in space travel? We don't know because we don't know how many times they stop for fuel. But then all of a sudden we find out they have like 4 ships left. It doesn't matter that this planet's dead because, you know, the First Order is still controlling everybody. There's no one else left. What the heck happened? Like, where is everybody all of a sudden?
Okay, so there's that, but I think fundamentally there are a lot more things wrong with the new trilogy. You have storylines that don't go anywhere.
Yep.
You have a social agenda or political agenda being pushed into the storylines. You have a diversity cast, which is associated with that. You have the first movie, which everybody loved because they thought maybe we're going to explore new characters, was a copy and paste of A New Hope. And you have all of the outside studio and actor commentary that are calling fans trolls and sexist, kind of like the Captain Marvel effect, where now I don't like the movie because of the things outside of the movie.
Right.
Well, here's my opinion on the cast. I have no problem with the cast. I think John Boyega is, you know, he's charming. I've seen him in other movies. He's a nice kid. He's a good character. I like him. My trouble is, you make a big point of having a female lead. I guess Princess Leia wasn't a female lead. I don't know. But then you have, oh look, we have a person of color as a lead. Okay, they had that in the first ones too, but that doesn't matter. But then you waste him on stupid plot points in the movie that make no sense. They're not a pivotal character in the second movie. And Rian Johnson just basically took Star Wars, crumpled it up like this and threw it in the background. And everyone who comes out and says, The Last Jedi was a turning point in a new story generation and a new story way of telling, and it was a good movie. It was not a good Star Wars movie in a trilogy.
I think The Last Jedi is getting a really bad rap.
And it should.
It should, because it was a terrible movie. But I think the ultimate blame goes to The Force Awakens. Because The Force Awakens did not expand Star Wars. It went back and it tried to do a hodgepodge reboot remake.
Except, don't forget, it was a relaunch from the prequels, which not everyone was a big fan of the prequels. It was too CGI, it was too everything. So when they came back and did it, J.J. Abrams came back. He has actual props. He has actual puppetry for aliens. And he mixes the CGI. So he went back to the old way of showing Star Wars that way. He introduces a new character in Rey. He introduces John Boyega. He introduces the First Order. So he's introduced a whole bunch of things in one movie. That's an awful lot to introduce into a trilogy.
But it was the same movie as A New Hope. But I didn't come out of there saying, wow, I just saw a new Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but you also didn't come out going, God damn it, whoa, I hated that movie. Where, you know what, in the prequels, I came out of those movies going, God damn it, I hated that movie. And when I came out of The Last Jedi, I wanted to throw all my Star Wars memorabilia in the garbage.
That's true. That's true.
Well,
the biggest problem that you guys, I'm surprised, have not mentioned is how overpowered the brand new untrained Jedi is. They've made Rey into a god that could beat Luke Skywalker, who is a Jedi Master.
So there's a ton of problems. First of all, you introduced new characters and you ruined the characters because you did nothing with them. The whole Rilo thing is interesting in a way that, hey, maybe there's a connection between those two. That's why they can force across. The whole idea that he's wet afterwards of talking, there's water on him, is stupid. And the only reason you see that is so that they can show Luke Skywalker at the end force whatever at the end.
Force teleportation.
Force teleport at the end of the movie. And everyone in The Last Jedi would have forgiven all the stupidity of The Last Jedi had you just had some dignity for Luke Skywalker and have him go out in like a blaze of glory, saving people.
That would not have done any kind of redemption for the movie. The movie sucked in all facets.
They made the original characters all throwaway characters.
Okay.
Princess Leia. Okay. They give her. They should have let her drift off into space, and that was the end of her. She made her ultimate sacrifice, but no, she uses the Force.
Super.
Flies,
and Mary Poppins her way back.
Mary Poppins her way back into the ship and dies 20 minutes later.
No, she's in a coma.
She's going to be in the next movie.
She came back later in the film.
Yeah, okay. She's dead.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
For all intents and purposes, she's dead. They could have just let her go.
They could have.
At that time. Okay. Han Solo falls off a bridge. That was a throwaway. That was no glory to his death. Luke Skywalker, absolutely no glory. Again, a throwaway. Ooh, he came and hologrammed his lightsaber battle.
Okay, so
for the most part,
every YouTube channel out there has said what's wrong with the trilogy.
We haven't said how we're going to fix it yet. We've just gone on for 10 minutes and our topic is, how do they fix it that we love Star Wars again?
What they have to do, I think, is they have to introduce... Okay, so...
There's only one movie left.
In every... No, there's
one movie left in this trilogy. The Skywalker series is over after this movie. 9 movies. This is the end. How can they make you like this movie?
They can't. The new trilogy is lost. I don't care what they do in the next trilogy.
Can they do anything?
No, this is a write-off. After this, they have to think long and hard about how we're going to make a good movie, how to bring Star Wars back, because this is lost.
I don't think there's any way to take the current storyline and turn it into something that makes you go, aha, that's what they were all thinking.
Okay, so what's your recipe?
My recipe, they have to introduce some kind of another supervillain that is not a Death Star. Because in every single movie, that's the only thing they've ever used as the evil thing. Sort of like Star Trek did with the Borg. Okay, when they introduced the Borg, it was a new superpower, and everybody had to sort of forge together to defeat this enemy. That's kind of, you need something to come in and obliterate not only rebel forces, but the Empire as well. And a new rebel force needs to emerge from that. That's what they need to do.
Okay. What do you think?
Okay, so if they're going to try to fix the current trilogy. I like the idea that Rey is a sleeper agent. There are videos out there with that story theory. You guys didn't go for it. I love it. I think they should have done the same thing for Jar Jar Binks in the prequels.
Maybe they could bring him back now.
Let's not go there. But I think the reason why Star Wars is failing now is because the makers think Star Wars is stormtrooper masks, lightsabers, Death Stars, and Star Destroyers. That's not Star Wars. Those were nice tools in the originals to make us interested because we had never seen them before. Great, awesome. But now they're using those in place of actual characters. In the originals, we had those tools, plus we had an awesome Han Solo, Princess Leia, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. They were all deep. What Star Wars is not doing, and what Lord of the Rings trilogy did, was Lord of the Rings made every character deep and awesome, real people with real arcs. And it will go down as one of the best trilogies in history. Star Wars is a popcorn flick where you see lights on the screen and you don't care about anybody.
No, at the end of the movie, I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't have a connection with any of them.
So what would you do to fix it?
I'd jump in that time machine and fire Rian Johnson before he got hired. I really don't know what they can do, because here's my big thing. We have Star Wars. We're about to finish the movies. We're about to go into number 7, 8, and 9. You still have the original cast alive. You can finally reunite the original cast of Star Wars to get people excited about the characters again. They failed to do that. At no point are they ever on the screen together. Ever. Luke's not even in the first movie. He made a map someplace in the distance because he didn't want to be found, but he left a map to find him. And then when you do find him, he doesn't want anything to do with anything ever again. Stupid.
Yes, we know what they did wrong. What are you going to do to fix it?
I don't know. I honestly don't, because...
Well, we're glad you prepared.
I am. I have prepared because I've been thinking about this long and hard. No
answers.
They haven't done a hero's journey with Rey. She's just overpowered. The whole thing with John Boyega's character and Rose... at the end, I don't know what they can do with those characters.
The first 10 minutes of this recording was about what was wrong. Now you're doing that again.
Yeah, but
what would make you love it again?
I literally sat down for hours and tried to write down what they could do to make me love the last Star Wars movie. And to be honest, I don't honestly think there's anything they can do.
What could they do to make you love
the franchise?
Star Wars.
Bring the franchise.
If we're not talking about how to save this trilogy and the next Star Wars movie, when they introduce characters, they have to have a story arc. They have to start someplace and arrive someplace. They have to build to there, and we have to care about it. They introduced Rey. Perfect. Here's Rey. How did she get there? What's the struggle she's going to do? Here we go. Oh yeah, I can defeat a Sith Lord the first time we battle. I can mind trick a guard, a stormtrooper. The minute I try, I can defeat the most powerful Jedi in the world immediately upon meeting him with no training, no nothing. John Boyega, he's running away. He's going to fight. And all he wants to do is keep running. He wants to keep running. Oh, is there going to be a connection with Rey in it? No, he goes off on this thing with Rey for an entire movie that does nothing. We are introduced to Poe. He's the best fighter in the world in the first movie. He shoot down 13 TIE fighters in one scene, and then we go and we see him in the next movie, and suddenly he's having his whole fleet destroyed because he's a stubborn, pig-headed buffoon. Because, Admiral Holdo is going to be the hero of the movie instead of Princess Leia, or even, the Admiral. It's like, what the hell did you do to my Star Wars? Screw you, Rian Johnson.
You okay?
No. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is great. And they have crumpled it up. And I was even happy when Disney came out with it because I saw what they were doing with Marvel. And then I saw what they did with Star Wars. And the first one I said, okay, we can build on this. So what do? They say we're going to do a trilogy with Rian Johnson. Haha, oh yeah, that didn't work out so well for you, did it? Because Rian Johnson's movie sucked and everyone hates it. Okay, so we're going to fire him. We're going to hire the writers from Game of Thrones. And now everyone hates their writing for season 8 because they rushed it. Just so they could do Star Wars. Well, hopefully they don't have to rush Star Wars because season 8 sucked of Game of Thrones.
It's not going to matter if they rush Star Wars. They've already destroyed it.
Yeah, but everyone will go and see the next new one to see if it's any good. But I tell you...
Aren't you tired of doing that, though?
Yeah.
Aren't you just tired of going to see them just to see if it's any good?
Well, why do you think I saw Captain Marvel? Was it because I was interested in the character? It's because
again, another brand new, overpowered, already know how to use all my powers character.
Yeah, I know. So here's what they can do. They can jump in a time machine. They can go back and start again. And here's the theory for the next series of Star Wars movies. If your characters don't have a progression to get to where they're going, if they're immediately overpowered, and it doesn't matter if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's an alien, if it's a robot, they have to have some kind of progression. Otherwise, we don't care. So that's how you can save Star Wars. Write characters with a good story that we'd like and want to follow on their progression. Don't make them the strongest people in the world, because then we don't care.